What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It's August 31st, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup. Coffee. Good morning, John. I went to bed early. I slept great. Good morning, Josh. And I am happy to be here. Even woke up a few minutes before my alarm. That was nice. That's always a good sign, isn't it? You wake up before your alarm, not because you're tired or terrified, but you're just like, all right, I got enough sleep. This is going to work. Today will be a good day. Good morning, Jenny and Frank and Andy. Shout out, as always, to Frank for his behind the scenes work. Had a great call with Frank yesterday and Josh for our theme music. Did I tell you guys this? That somebody on Facebook tried to claim the theme music, and I figured out how to contest that claim, and Facebook came back and went, "Oh yeah, I guess you do. That is your music." The world's a weird place. Good morning, Nathan and Dennis and Brian. Wow, look at everybody pouring in. And Tommy. And to everyone watching later. Maybe listening. Live later or listening. There we go. I knew I had a phrase. Couldn't find it. My brain's still not at, top speed. Next couple days, I will be doing the show from the road as I travel a bit. But all should work out. You should not have an issue. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Liz. I feel like there was something I was about to say. Today's not going to be too complex for me. It's about finishing up packing, getting things in the car, getting on the road. Yesterday was a good day. How many of you tuned in for the live? Excuse me. I didn't watch the boards. Andrew did it all. The live installment of the Q&A, Martial Arts Radio Q&A. The first time we ever scheduled it. And I can't stop yawning. Wow. I'm not sure what's going on here. But here, more coffee. Maybe that'll do it. But we had fun with that episode. Hope those of you who watched it had fun. If you didn't get to watch it, it's kicking around the internet, and you'll be able to see the audio version come through in a few weeks. Good morning, Stacy. Look at everybody here. This is some good attendance for a Wednesday morning. I'm happy to see it. Thanks everybody for coming by. What else happened yesterday? I want to know what else happened for you. What did I do? Did I even leave the house? Oh, you know what happened yesterday? Andrew and I were doing an episode, and a shipment from Mexico dropped. Our protective gear shipment dropped. I am not going to get a chance to get to that until next week. So those of you who are waiting on gear, you're going to have to wait a little longer. So, yep. Jenny watched it later. Stacy says I tuned into the live afterwards, was in the middle of a 2-hour meeting at the time. That's a long meeting. I'm not a big fan of long meetings. I like short meetings. I don't really like meetings. Which is why I think any of the whistlekick meetings tend to have more of a let's hang out and talk about what we're doing kind of a vibe. Detta said the live Q&A was so much fun. Great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have fun doing those. I really do. I like that you guys make me think about things differently. I don't know what else to say. Yesterday wasn't wasn't a big day. I'm fried, you guys. I've been really honest. I'm fried. I'm looking forward to a reduced workload over the next couple days and not really working at all Saturday through Monday. And we'll see where life takes me. Take care, Andy. Jenny says her yesterday involved class, then a cranky toddler fighting a nap, then class again. I needed some self-care, so I had s'mores for dessert. There you go. Nice. Yeah. I'm just looking around at piles of things that make me feel called to do, to put away, to test. This is why I got to get out of the house for a few days, because there's a lot going on here. There's always a lot going on here. This is the problem when you work where you live, and the barriers between the two are blurry. I put something up on Patreon yesterday. For those of you who are Patreon contributors, it was a video. It's exclusive to video. So that's the $10 and up tiers. So go check that out if you haven't already. Feedback is, of course, always welcome. And a big figure in Dennis's life, Grandmaster Joe Lewis, passed away on this day 10 years ago, 10:45 a.m. I have been lucky enough to indirectly get to know Joe Lewis through folks like Dennis, Bill Wallace, people who have spoken so much about him. And I'm sad that I never got to meet him, never got to interview him, never got to train with him. But I am thankful for the people who keep his memory alive so I can have an understanding of how much I regret that, right? If nobody talked about him, I would know, just be like, oh, that probably would have been nice. But to hear the way people talk about him, it's nice to be able to miss someone that you never met. And that's kind of how I feel about Joe Lewis. I wouldn't say that I was a fan of his, but I guess now, in a sense, I am, because there are so many people that mean a lot to me that he meant a lot to. And we could probably apply some mathematical principle. Transitive? We could probably use the transitive property and say that I would have liked him a lot. Good morning, Mark. Tommy met him a few times. Great guy, truly missed, and a true fighter. Yeah. Death memorials are always, or anniversaries of deaths are always tough, because we always all look at them differently, right? When the anniversary of my father's passing happened in April, you look at it and you're torn in different directions, or at least I am. I want to celebrate the memories, but I also want, maybe I don't want to, but I feel pulled towards the sorrow that person's no longer around. It's probably why we celebrate birthdays more. Birthdays are a little bit easier. The beginning of life. Well, anybody else who wants to drop in what they did yesterday or what they're doing today, I would love to hear it. I really am going to have a very simple day. Lots of car time. I've got 4 hours of driving to get where I'm going. So, and yeah, I'm looking forward to a little bit of time off. I have threatened myself to just flip the breaker at the electrical panel and just pretend I'm in a cabin in the woods. But I'm not doing that. It's hard. It's hard when you get used to a space or people. We've talked about that before, the idea of getting used to training partners. Oh, I know that person always does this with their kicks, or after they do this punch, they always follow up with this technique. And we need that variety. variety is important. Diversity is important of people, of training, of food, of emotions. Right? Why do we even have emotions? Because we need them all. Right? Like without emotions, what would drive us? Right? It's all part of that complex system that is being alive. Then it says, I got up to water the lawn, but Mother Nature dropped a present for me early this morning. Well, that's nice. Nikki says, last minute school supplies yesterday. Do kids need anything different than when I was a kid? When I was a kid, it was it was a big deal if you had a pen. It was pencils, pens, notebooks that we never used, paper that we never used, a calculator we weren't allowed to use, and then the rest of it was clothes and like a lunchbox. Tommy says songs won't work without emotions. So true. Brian says kids' first day of school today. Devlin is in 8th grade and Cassidy's in 4th. Whoa, yeah, you're getting old, man. Nick says back to school today. Gat says going to train at home today. More practice on the sidekick. Also need to get some knee stabilization exercises in. Something I'm also working on is knee stabilization. There's a video that's up on YouTube somewhere when I tested this whole, like, what would it look like if I put out this is how you do things material, not through whistlekick, but under my own name. And I keep coming back to the idea that the best way to think of a sidekick is a stomp. It's a stomp that you do higher up. Of course, that breaks down once you get above the waist, but it's true. And just throw it out there to anybody. If you're having a hard time teaching a sidekick, try teaching it as a stomp. Stomp out to the side, then you stomp higher. They'll get it. Very, very natural movement. Once they've done that a bunch, they can do it higher. Frank says music is life. That's why hearts have beats. Oh, I like that a lot. Jenny says, we weren't allowed to have trapper keepers, but somehow I managed to get my mom to buy one for me more than once. My mother wasn't willing to spend the money on a trapper keeper. She bought me the generic ones. And I was so sad about that. It's like, come on, these are like another what, $10? You can't buy me this $10 extra thing? Spend an extra $10 on me for the year? Come on. Tommy says, my school did a backpack school pack, filled up backpacks with school supplies, gave them out to families in the area. Oh, that's nice. Kelly says, for school, you were cool if you had a trapper keeper and a pen that could do different colors. Oh, I remember those. First year, no kids in, quote, school. Just the one in the last year of college. It's a weird feeling. Good luck with that. That can be a tough transition. Dennis says, in the step kids start school today, 10th and 6th grades. And of course, my own baby started his sophomore year of college last week. Stacy says, trapper keepers, oh yes, and my Battlestar Galactica lunchbox. Josh says, trapper keepers, I remember when I finally got one when it went on sale at CVS. It says trapper keepers were the shizzle. Somebody should try to bring back trapper keepers for adults. Can you imagine going into a meeting and like unvelcroing your trapper keeper and like it having a picture of a monster truck on the outside? That'd be a riot. I'd love that. Coffee. Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the notebooks, all the folding assignment binder things that I had were plain, if I remember. They were really durable. They were way more durable than trapper keepers. Remember, trapper keepers fell apart sometime around March. And the ones that I had, if I remember correctly, had a replaceable binder. So the binder inside, was like $1. but the outside thing with all the pockets and everything was more, $10 or so. But it was made of nylon, polyester. Anyway, some kind of woven artificial fabric. And it held up well. And it went in my backpack. And I didn't have fancy backpacks either. And we replaced them every year. Huh. Wonder why. Dennis says, I would totally walk into a conference room with a trapper keeper. Jenny says, trapper keepers are for adults. Duh. Stacy says, whistlekick trapper keepers. Kelly's wanting one too. I'll tell you what. Somebody do the research on how we get custom-made trapper keepers made, and we'll see what we can do. If we can do, I bet we could sell a dozen of them. So as long as we can do like a minimum order of a dozen, I would do it. Brian says, outside loading the car when you said that, and my laugh echoed off the valley. Rawr, monster truck. Oh, I love it. I love it. Tommy says, in my day, we had Happy Days and Wild Wild West lunchboxes and my original Scooby-Doo. I'm old. Hey, you're not old. None of us are old. Well, unless we feel old. That's fine then. Nikki says, I will never forget the amount of opening the Trapper Keeper. Velcro is so loud. Oh, the sound of opening the Trapper Keeper. Yeah. Yeah, especially, all right, everybody get out your homework, and like 20 people. Yeah. And then you had that one person in the back that had like the really fancy one that was a zipper. Like, yeah. Good times. So here's the question. Here's the $1 million question, because I think agreeing on this would be really tough. What would be in the design of the whistlekick Trapper Keeper? Would it be people? Would it be, something more like a dragon hoodie, just kind of a funky design? Would it be a knockoff of an impressionist painting? Like instead of Van Gogh's Starry Night, it's Van Gogh's Dojo? I don't know. What would it be? And could we agree? Tommy just had to look up what a Trapper Keeper was. Oh, that's a riot. I love that. Frank says, as producer of this show, I had no idea Trapper Keepers were this big of a deal. Liz is suggesting Ninja Bees for the design. This is the most talkative you guys have ever been on any subject, and I think it's hysterical. Josh says, my grandma got me a backpack in first grade, and I used that one for years since it was durable and we didn't have much money. For better or worse, though, it was fluorescent pink, and I took so much flack for that. Well, Josh, you're about my age, so I bet the time that you bought it, it wasn't as big of a deal. Like, I remember the mid-'80s where having fluorescent colors was such a big deal that the barriers at the time for men having things that were bright fluorescent pink, as long as there were other colors involved, was not that big of a deal. But that did not last long. Stacey says, I think we're all just people of a certain age and era. I think it's more than that. I think most of us were nerds, are nerds. And I think a lot of us, martial arts has this tendency to attract and retain people who are a bit of outcasts, who are not part of the cool circles. And so for us, being on the edge, a lot of us didn't have the things that the cool kids had for financial reasons, or, let's face it, Trapper Keepers were not a good investment. They were not durable. And any parent who didn't want to replace your binder halfway through the year wasn't going to buy you a Trapper Keeper. But we didn't have these things. We wanted these things because we didn't have them. And now as adults, we want these things. Jenny says, I had a zipper organizer that was basically a professional trapper keeper. Matt stole it to use it for a job interview, and I haven't seen it since. I'm just super impressed that you still have it. That's pretty. Oh, Stacy's got, I think, the obvious answer. Master Hopkick, the keeper critter. I think that works really well. I love it. You guys are the best. All right, so we can do Master Hopkick. Can we do? We could do something with the cover of the new edition of the book. Is that public information? Am I spoiling that? There's a new edition of Master Hopkick coming. Well, Stacy says, or the dragon hoodie design. All right. Well, I'm going to switch over. You guys are welcome to keep going, and I will pop back and forth and read some of them. But I also want to talk about today and the fact that Chris Tucker turns 51. Now, of course, most of us in a martial arts context know Chris Tucker from his role in Rush Hour 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? There were 4 of them. And in my opinion, plays the perfect comedic balance to Jackie Chan. I love those movies. And those movies, if I'm remembering box office numbers correctly, are I think 4 of the top 5, quote, martial arts movies in terms of theater gross. It says 3. I thought there were 4. Anyway, here we got some quotes. Comedy comes from a place of hurt. Charlie Chaplin was starving and broke in London. That's where he got his character, the Tramp. It's a bad situation that he transformed into a comedic one. A lot of art comes from pain. When I'm coaching people who want to do forums at a high level, and it's rare I get to work with someone on this level, but it's happened a couple times. We're digging into stuff like that. Where's the pain? Let's let it out. This is a performance. It is a physical and emotional performance of movement. And if you can tap into a bit of that pain, it is a much more powerful experience for the people watching. Oh. Oh, this is great. This is so great. Yeah, I'm not. These comments are wonderful. I'm just reading them. I'll come back. Number 2, it's crazy because people expect you to be funny all the time, and every day is not a funny day. I go to funerals and people are like, "Tell a joke and say one of your lines in a movie." It's a funeral, man. This is something I've heard a lot of comedians say, that the expectation is that people just get up on stage and they're just funny all the time, that it's not rehearsed and that there isn't timing involved. It's like any other job. You practice, there's a skill set, you prepare. And yes, there are people who are funny in general, but just as we are, I mean, most of us have probably heard this, do a move, right? Just as we don't like being put on the spot, comedians don't like being put on the spot. Most people don't like being put on the spot for any reason. It's stressful. Referencing yesterday, Gad says a lot of art comes from pain. Wasn't that what Cameron Diaz experienced from training for Charlie's Angels? Oh, I love you guys. Liz says we would have to make the Trapper Keepers in different color choices. See, and that's the concern. I don't think we'll be able to sell 100 of these and give you guys a bunch of choices. I think we're going to have to do one design. And let's be real, it's probably going to be $40 by the time we get them shipped in. Just the let's see. When I started buying this, let me give you guys some real numbers here. When I started buying sparring gear, it cost us, when I was doing a big shipment, between $1 and $2 to bring in gear on the shipping side. Forget about the cost of the gear itself, but like the logistical shipping costs, $1 to $2. Smaller orders, maybe $3. The 5 boxes, the pallet that's sitting in the warehouse right now, $10. Costs $10 per piece to ship it, which means prices are going up. So if anybody wants gear and it's available right now, get it at these prices, because prices are about to take a big step. And they already did, because the last shipment went up dramatically. I'm not trying to make money on gear anymore. This is not the business model anymore. So just keep that in mind. Stacy's dropped a link to Trapper Keepers. They brought them back. Oh, that's funny. I might have to get one. If somebody take the helm, you know what? I'm going to assign this. Liz, I'm putting this on your plate. Go find out if we can make custom Trapper Keepers, please. And our last quote from Chris Tucker: I told a joke and people laughed, and it was the best feeling. I knew I wanted to do this as a career. I never knew I could get such a high from telling a joke. There's something so extraordinary about having people listening to you and hanging on to your words. It's a great feeling. And I can relate to that feeling a little bit. With a slightly different roll of the dice, I think I might have been a comedian. I like entertaining people. Ironically enough, despite my introversion, like being the center of attention. Doesn't really make sense, I understand. But the idea of bringing joy to people, and that's what laughter is, bringing joy and being able to process what's going on in the world for and with people, I think is really interesting. And it's never too late. You know, we've got a comedy club that teaches classes, and if I get a little bit of time, I'll probably take some classes, because that relates to improvisation, which makes me a better interviewer. But it's not on the schedule at this time. Thank you, Liz. So there we go. I hope you all have a great day. This was a lot of fun. See, these are the moments that we can't plan on this show. Somehow we showed up without any expectation that we were going to spend most of the episode talking about school supplies and Trapper Keepers. And we did. Because this is the kind of stuff that happens with friends. And I appreciate this format because it allows us to do that. I appreciate that we always have something to talk about if need be. If our conversation had lagged, I would have switched over to the quotes from Chris Tucker, and we would have talked more about comedy and the relationship between comedy and martial arts, physical comedy, etc. But I prefer the organic stuff instead. Thank you to Frank for making sure we always have stuff to talk about. And thank you to all of you for coming by. Remember, if you want to support, we've got the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. I got a frog in my throat now. Pardon me. We've got the code FirstCup15. I saw some free training. Oh, you know what? Let me share this real quick. This made my day. Growing up, 5 houses down was a large family. They ultimately moved away, and I got to know the people who bought the house. But there was a large family, and I knew who these people were, and they remained in the school district, and was not really close to any of them, but, you know, live in a small area, you know who everybody is. Somehow, somewhere along the way, one of these 5 kids, Andrea's 2 years older, 3 years older than I am, started seeing what was going on with Whistlekick. And I woke up this morning to an order of a free training day shirt. And what do we name the pants? In the indistinct pants? The sweatpants. And I was like, is that the same person? And then I looked over on Free Training Day Northeast, and there was a notification from somebody, from her, saying that I had inspired her to get back into martial arts. She probably hasn't trained in 30 years, maybe 35. And that is awesome. And it's exactly why I do what I do. So I just want to share that with all of you, because that is going to carry me through my day. Remember, we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Dennis says, I'll be hearing the sound of Trapper Keepers opening in my head all day long. Kelly says, design contest from students for Trapper Keepers. Absolutely. If we can do this, I want to do something like that. We'll get it all set up. Or, maybe what we do, maybe there is a version of a Trapper Keeper where you can slide a picture in, and we can get like really nice ones done up on like heavy paper that's laminated, and who knows, we'll figure out what's going on there. So those of you coming to Free Training Day Northeast, I'm not going to give out her, she posted it publicly. Her name's Andrea Capano. So if you meet her, you can tell her about this moment if you want, and how much it meant to me. But don't overwhelm her. All right. You guys are the best. I will see you tomorrow, coming to you from a hotel room in Southern Massachusetts. Have a great day. Be well. Peace.